Okay, so Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah, I kinda like it. If you don't know what Hi-Fi Rush is, it is a character action game similar to Devil May Cry, wherein gameplay is entirely set to the beat of the music. There are a lot of things I can say about this game, and it's pretty much entirely praise. I think that its art style is incredibly pretty, I love the music choice, I think its humor and writing is incredibly charming.
Is that a weapon?
I don't think so.
I think he's resisting.
Wait, what?
And as much as I would want to gush about Hi-Fi Rush in an hour-long deep dive into the inner workings of every single machination of the game, I am not skilled enough to do that. Not enough to make it coherent, at least. I've tried before and have failed both times, I would say. We would be here for 3 minutes or 3 hours if I were to try to describe everything that I love about this game. So instead, what I'll do is follow in Hi-Fi's footsteps. Focus on one thing and do it really, really well. For Hi-Fi Rush, that is without question its sound design. More importantly, how its sound design ties into gameplay and how that affects its design. Which, you know, makes sense for a game that was entirely marketed as, hey, you're playing a music video, get to it. But upon replaying this game, I have grown to really appreciate its sound design and all the things that relate to it. It genuinely makes me think that Tango Gameworks used some black magic and Blood of the Elder Gods to get this game to function. But before I get ahead of myself, let's back up for a second. First of all, in this context, what is sound design? Sound design is, as the name implies, the design of the audio in a game and how it's used. For any piece of media really, but video games especially, it's something that's both incredibly important, but also underappreciated in my opinion. Because in terms of video games, audio is feedback. Giving effective feedback to the player to either encourage or discourage the player's behavior is absolutely integral for game feel. And the way something sounds can heavily judge the player's response to a given action. If your feedback is effective, then you're doing a good job of silently guiding the player to a desired behavior. If it's poor, then you end up either giving the wrong message to a player or just fail to make it feel satisfying to pull off. For an example of good feedback versus bad feedback, look at how Liza P and Lords of the Fallen handled their parries. Liza P is a very aggressive game, and similarly to its inspirations, you are safest when you are as close to your enemy as possible. The reason? Your parry. Yeah, that sounded good, didn't it? Here, listen to it again. It's chunky, right? It's powerful and satisfying. You're going against stuff like this. So yeah, it totally makes sense for it to make that noise. You can really feel the impact of such an intense hit, and it reinforces that, yeah, that would have been really bad if you took that hit instead of your weapon. Now listen to what happens when you block. Notice the difference? The reason the parry specifically feels so good isn't solely due to that satisfying as fuck thunk, but it just wouldn't feel the same if it were any different. Once you hear that once, you want to hear it again, and again, and again. When compared to Lords of the Fallen's parry, I can't really help but feel like it's lacking in a lot of ways. Like, sure, it functions as it should as a parry, do it enough times and you get a riposte, but... it doesn't really sound like a parry. You would think that deflecting a giant oversized greatsword would have more impact, but instead you get this little... like, come on man, this is a parry. This is a parry. This is a fucking parry. So when you have a mechanic that's so integral to the game, you need to make pulling it off feel good. Now, what does this have to do with Hi-Fi Rush? Well, as I'd like to repeat, feedback encourages the player, and Hi-Fi Rush does an exceptional job at doing that through one simple sound effect. If you've played the game, you just had a mini hit of dopamine run through you. The game's primary gimmick is that everything is to the beat of music. When I say everything, I mean it. Everything. environmental props, cutscenes, enemy animations and attacks, and just as importantly, your animations and attacks. A grand majority of Chai's abilities are tied to the music, and a majority of the time, if you time it correctly, you gain extra benefits. Your basic attacks always land on time with the rhythm, but it will do extra damage if you time it with the beat. Beat hits are only accessible through correct timing, and on top of being the source of a majority of your damage, is also the only way to access jam combos. Jam combos are another source of major damage, and depending on your selected ally, will lead into aerial combos, which can lead into further jam combos, and you can see where I'm going, right? Landing attacks on beat is integral for playing well in this game, as landing on beat will often either do fat damage or lead into the opportunity to do so. So in order to not only communicate this, but also encourage the player to keep doing it, landing on beat nets you with a little or. It's simple, but stupidly effective in giving immediate but satisfying feedback for when you're doing things right. Along with this, it also aids in keeping up your rhythm. In some more upfront ways than others, there are a lot of visual indicators that help you find and maintain your rhythm while you're playing. You got the optional rhythm indicator at the bottom of the screen, your health bar, rhythm meter, environmental props, 808's aura, and other smaller, more subtle details like enemy idle animations. The only two real auditory indicators there are for rhythm are the music itself and this hey. And realistically, while the music is all you really need, that little cheer does so much to keep your rhythm on point, even outside of encouraging you to get it to trigger more. And once you found the timing, it feels really goddamn good when you're hearing the game constantly cheer you on as you fight. To complement this, the designers, in their infinite wisdom, decided to add a damn chord progression whenever you hit an enemy. Each hit plays a different chord depending on what level you're in and in what section. The designers did a really good job of making sure each chord fit its level, and it does a hell of a lot to give you feedback when you hit something. On top of the already meaty-ass pow sound that plays when you hit something, you have this chord that adds an extra layer of dynamic audio as you play. Because there are moments in this game where it feels like you are playing along with the music, like you're adding an extra instrument as you're playing. Because you are. I've been listening to this game's OST as I'm writing this script, and as amazing as these tracks are, they just don't feel the same without the extra chords and moments of accidental musical genius they bring. I mean, just listen to this. And I really think that's a testament to how effective this design decision is. You want to get into a dumbass robot's face and clobber him. You want to constantly hit something because you want to hear those chords. It makes you want to be aggressive. If there was one thing that Rekka was right about, it was this.
You want to be successful? You want to be productive? Then you gotta be aggressive.
Maybe this is just me being a crack-addled ape when I play video games. But whenever I see streamers play this game, I notice that they are way too passive, and it makes me want to tear my goddamn hair out. They run around, pepper the enemies with their allies, get a couple hits in, then back out. They only really get close when they're forced to, and they get scared of the enemies, and especially elites. Don't fucking do this. Aggression is the name of the game, and practically everything is pushing you in the direction of getting in the enemy's face and bashing them on the head with a fucking axe guitar. You have a magnet that immediately attaches to a target, bringing you to them. You have a dash with iframes that can be canceled into... Wait. Oh my god, I have to do this in one take, don't I? You have a magnet that immediately attaches to a target, bringing you to them. You have a dash with iframes that you can cancel into during most actions that additionally can be done 3 times in a row if timed unbeat. Enemy stun gauges will decrease when left alone, and if broken will quickly reset if you're not hitting them. You even have, guess what, a parry. That sounds really nice, by the way. That keeps you in place, deflects any attack coming at you, can be done in the air, rapidly increases stun damage on consecutive executions, can, once again, be cancelled into at any time, and can be further upgraded to be able to yoink some poor fucker and slam him into the ground, leading into an air combo. This ostensibly defensive tool in a majority of games is turned into an incredibly offensive ability that can immediately flip the dynamic you have with your enemy. You can have a full health elite get completely nuked because you consecutively parried 4 of his attacks in a row, setting him up to get air comboed and punished like no tomorrow. It's actually why I'd recommend not getting the directional parry upgrade, because while the iframes are useful, it also locks you away from parrying again until they're gone. And quite often, especially against bosses, you'll do the directional parry, not get the auditory feedback for parrying again, and then there goes your rhythm. If you know me at all, you would know that I am a fucking goblin when it comes to video games, and when a game lets me play like an aggressive as fuck rat that is always in your face all the time, that's a perfect game in my eyes. Everything in this game's soundscape rewards you for keeping in tune, and that's what I feel is the most important. You are only ever rewarded, but never punished if you don't. Yeah, you'll do more damage attacking on beat, but damage is never reduced when you don't. You don't have to use beat hits, but you lose out on jam combos and major damage. You don't have to dodge on beat, but you'll be gimping your ability if you don't. It's consistent, positive reinforcement all the way through that pushes you to do the absolute best you can in every encounter. And in my opinion, that's the greatest strength that this game has. Always pushing you to get better and take advantage of every opportunity in an incredibly fun way. This game is just fucking fun. This game is just fucking fun. The gameplay is fun, the writing is fun, the art style is fun, everything is just fun. If you haven't already, play this damn game. It's only $30, $40 if you get the deluxe edition, with around 15 or so hours of story with post-game content to draw you in if you're hungry for more. Play this damn game already. I am no longer asking. Do it now or I'll find you and I will kill your dog.